All right, let's take a look at example 2. All right, the first one is asking for the inverse cosine of square root 3 over 2. So positive square root 3 over 2. All right, so I'm going to actually draw a unit circle because I always have to visualize these things. So I'm going to draw my little unit circle, and it's a positive cosine, so I'm coming over by the square root 3 over 2, right? And then I want to drop, I want to know where my angle is, right? I want to know the angle that has a cosine of square root 3 over 2, okay? So, and it has to be an angle between 0 and pi. So it's going to be in that top half of the unit circle. So that is the angle I'm looking for. Now this is where you're going to want to get out your unit circle with all of your sine and cosine values on it. And so the cosine here is square root 3 over 2, right? And you look for a, you would look for a, oops, that's going to be, yep, no, that's right. A point on the unit circle that has an x value of square root 3 over 2. And you'll see that the other value is a half, right? Because it's a 30-degree angle, or pi over 6, right? So I'm just going to look it up off of my unit circle. Pi over 6, which is equal to 30 degrees, okay? You get the same thing if you put it into your calculator. So, but you can just use your unit circle. Or you may just remember that, okay, square root 3, the cosine of 30 degrees is square root 3 over 2. So I know that the cosine inverse of square root 3 over 2 is going to be the angle 30 degrees. All right, remember the output of the inverse cosine is always an angle. Let's look at another example here. Now this looks very similar, but notice where I have parentheses around, I have the cosine square root 3 over 2, and I have parentheses around it to the minus 1 power. So when it's written like this, it means it's a minus 1 power. All right, so I'm looking for a cosine. This is not a cosine value now. I'm looking for the cosine of an angle, square root 3 over 2. And then I'm going to take the reciprocal of it. So it's essentially going to be 1 over the cosine of square root 3 over 2. And I can just put that in my calculator. I'm just going to put it in my calculator. Now it's going to make a difference. The answer that you get is going to be different depending on whether your calculator is in radian mode or if it's in degree mode. So if I have my calculator in degree mode, or in radian mode, which is typically in calculus, you're going to be working in radians. Now, in this chapter, we're going to be working in both. So you'll have to be conscious of what mode your calculator is in this chapter. So if I put my calculator in radian mode and I calculate that value, I get 0.64786. But that's to the minus 1 power, which then if I take the reciprocal of that, I get 1.5435. Okay, so that's my answer if I do that. So it's very different from the answer I got in A. So just be careful, be careful. So here's another example. We want the cosine inverse of -1. So we're looking for the angle that has a cosine of -1. So where is cosine -1? It's over here at pi, right? This is the point -1 comma 0. Okay. So my answer is pi, or if I want to work in degrees, I get 180 degrees. Okay. This is different, right? What's the cosine of -1 and then to the -1 power? Okay, that's just 1 over the cosine of -1. Now the question is that -1 degrees or is it -1 radians? Right? It's not really specified. I'm gonna put my calculator in radian mode. If I put my calculator in radian mode, I get 1 over 0.5403, and that becomes 1.851. Okay, so I didn't draw a unit circle here, but I know that. So minus 1 radians is about 57.3 degrees. That's somewhere down in here. So and the cosine is the cosine value is positive, so that makes sense. Okay. So notice we're not restricting the range here because this is cosine. This is cosine. It's not cosine inverse. Okay, so be careful. All right, well, that takes care of that example, and I will meet you in the next video.